All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. And here we are, folks, as we are embarking on the final weekend of the regular season in college football. And I know that plenty of people have been feasting on Thanksgiving meals today. Well, I got news for you. There's plenty to feast on this weekend in the world of college football, as there are so many games that have implications as far as teams getting to their respective conference championship games, as well as the overall college football playoff picture. And it's not just a power conference thing, it's a group of five thing as well. It's a Notre Dame thing as well. There are a lot of games, both tomorrow and Saturday, that have plenty of playoff implications. I want to get things started tomorrow afternoon in Starkville, as we've got the seventh ranked Ole Miss Rebels making the trip from Oxford to Starkville to take on Mississippi State. And of course, all eyes are on the Egg Bowl for multiple reasons. And of course, the biggest reason is whether or not that this is going to be the last game for Lane Kiffin as the head coach of the Rebels. Of course, we know all the talk possibly about him going to either LSU or Florida. Now, it's pretty simple for Ole Miss, as a win would all but guarantee their participation in the college football playoff for the first time in school history, while they still also have a chance to get to Atlanta for the SEC championship game. But of course, with all of the talk about Lane Kiffin, the question is going to be, how focused will the Rebels be against in-state rival Mississippi State? You look at quarterback Trinidad Chambliss, of course, this running game for Ole Miss with running back Keywan Lacey, and of course, the playmaking ability on the outside for wide receiver Harrison Wallace, and then I like linebacker TJ Dottery on this defense. So if you're Mississippi State and you definitely want to pull off the upset, and you've got an opportunity to become bowl eligible for the first time since 2022, I think what the Bulldogs need to do, because we've seen them start strong against teams at home and they haven't been able to finish. They have an opportunity to start strong here, get their crowd into the game, and I think if Mississippi State can get on a lead early, and they could possibly force, Ole Miss to somewhat press, that definitely is to their advantage, especially with all of the talk about Lane Kiffin. I think Ole Miss starts this game a little sluggish, but I think they get it going and they pull away late. And I like the Rebels to take care of their business on the road, 34-20. Now, also tomorrow, we've got 13th ranked Utah traveling to Lawrence to take on Kansas. Now, the Utes cannot get to the Big 12 championship game. Okay, they've lost to both Texas Tech and BYU, who are ahead of them, but they are still in the mix to possibly get into the playoff. But they got to try to avoid that upset in Lawrence. I know that the Utes are coming in as 10.5-point favorites. You look at this team with quarterback Devin Dampier, running back Wayshawn Parker, and then this defense, which includes defensive end John Henry Daly. You look at the Jayhawks, and of course, they're looking to become bowl eligible for the third time in the last 4 years. I expect Kansas to really lean on their running game, and that really opens things up in the passing attack. And then this defense with linebacker Trey Lathan and defensive end Leroy Harris. Like I said, Utah is a big-time favorite. I think they should be on upset alert, and I like Kansas with the upset tomorrow, 30-27. Now we've got fourth ranked Georgia taking on 23rd ranked Georgia Tech at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta in the latest edition of Clean Old Fashioned Hate. Personally, I would prefer to see this game played at Bobby Dodd, but nonetheless, it is going to be played right down the road at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We saw these two in-state rivals face off in an epic battle last year in Athens, as Georgia was able to get the comeback win. But nonetheless, will the Yellow Jackets be able to pull the upset off this time around? Georgia Tech comes into this game having lost 2 out of their last 3, and that's not the way that you want to be playing when you're facing a team like Georgia. We know where the Yellow Jackets' bread is buttered, and it starts with quarterback Haynes King, as well as the running game with Jamal Haynes and Malachi Hosley. But if this Georgia Tech defense can be had, and they're going to have their hands full with this Georgia running game with Nate Frazier, and then of course this Georgia team as a whole, they're looking to make it consecutive games in Atlanta in this building because they play this game tomorrow, and then of course the SEC championship game next Saturday. But nonetheless, I like this Georgia defense with linebacker C.J. Allen and Raylan Wilson. I think they're the difference, and I'm going to take the Bulldogs 34-24. Now we've got San Diego State taking on New Mexico, and of course, a win by the Aztecs will mean that they will host the Mountain West Championship game next weekend. While for the Lobos, a win on their part, and a loss by Boise would put New Mexico in the title game for the first time in school history. When you think about San Diego State this year, you think about their defense, which has been lights out as they are sixth in the nation. You've got to keep an eye out for linebacker Owen Chambliss as well as Ryan Henderson and Trey White off the edge. San Diego State has accounted for 13 interceptions so far, and I want to see what they're going to be able to do against this New Mexico team, especially a guy like wide receiver Keegan Johnson. Can he find a way to find some gaps in this San Diego State secondary? For New Mexico, they can bring it defensively as well with the likes of linebacker Jackson Eck as well as defensive end Keyshawn James Newby. This is going to be a very back and forth game. Two good teams at the top of the Mountain West, but I like the Aztecs to take care of their business 23-20. Now, in the American tomorrow, we've got Temple traveling to take on North Texas. And of course, for the Mean Green, they come into this one favored by 20.5. And yes, North Texas is about to lose their head coach, Eric Morris, to Oklahoma State, possibly their quarterback as well. But nonetheless, the Mean Green still have plenty to play for, as a win would put them in the American Championship game, while there is still also hope for them to get to the college football playoff. Speaking of that North Texas offense, one of the tops in the nation, it's led by quarterback Drew Mestermaker. Got to keep an eye out for running back Caleb Hawkins, and then, of course, wide receiver Wyatt Young on the outside. Now, North Texas, not the best defense, but definitely keep an eye out for linebacker Ethan Weslowski. And then Temple. Temple is trying to play spoiler, and they're also looking to become bowl eligible for the first time since 2019. Not going to be easy, but a guy like quarterback Evan Simon is going to have to go out there and have a big game, as will running back Jay Ducker, and keep an eye out for linebacker Curly O'Donez. But like I said, North Texas is favored by 20.5 at home. I think they take care of their business in a breeze, 44-20. Now, another one in the Mountain West is we've got Boise State traveling to Logan to take on the Utah State Aggies. And the Broncos come in favored by 3.5 points, as they are looking to get to the Mountain West Championship game for the fourth consecutive year. And of course, with quarterback Maddox Matson out, the Broncos have been leaning on their ground game with running back Siri Gaines as well as Dylan Riley. 14 interceptions so far for Boise State. Will they find a way to throw off the timing of this Utah State offense with quarterback Bryson Barnes? We've got to wait and see. But nonetheless, the Aggies and head coach Bronco Mendenhall are looking to shatter the dreams of Boise. And it's going to be very interesting because, of course, both of these teams will be playing in the new Pac-12 next season. I like linebacker John Miller for Utah State, as well as running back Miles Davis and wide receiver Braden Pegan. It's one of those, like I said, the Broncos come in favored by 3.5, but I like Utah State to pull off the upset at home here, 27-23. Now, in the SEC tomorrow night, and this is a huge one, folks, as we've got third-ranked Texas A&M traveling to Austin to take on the 16th ranked Longhorns. The Aggies come into this contest favored by 2.5 points. And I tell you right now, this game right here could go a very long way in helping to shape the college football playoff. Why? Because if Texas A&M wins, it's simple. It would mark their first undefeated regular season since 1994, when they were still in the Southwest Conference, and the Aggies would then go to Atlanta next Saturday for the SEC Championship game, which would also be the first time in program history that that would happen. But if A&M finds a way to lose this game, the barn might fly off in regards to the playoff picture. Why? Because if the Aggies lose this game, there's a possibility of a four-way tie atop the SEC to finish the season. And three of those teams would be 11-1. Okay, possibly. So if you're A&M, you want to go out there and take care of your business, but it's going to be easier said than done against Texas. And then on the flip side for Texas, yes, the Longhorns have 3 losses. They're ranked 16th in the most recent college football playoff poll. But if they were to knock off the undefeated A&M squad, where would that leave them? Because I know they have 3 losses. They're not going to the SEC championship game. It'd be very interesting to see where the committee would put them next week in the rankings. Okay, but nonetheless, this is Texas A&M's first trip to Austin since 2010. Remember, this rivalry was put on hold when A&M decided to leave the Big 12 to join the SEC, and then of course a couple of years ago, Texas invaded their territory. But nonetheless, I guarantee you that the folks in Austin will not be breaking out the welcome mat for the kids from College Station. But nonetheless, I look at this A&M team, and they've got to rely on what has gotten them so far. You know, you got running back Reuben Owens, you've got quarterback Marcel Reed, and then I like their wide receivers in Casey Concepcion as well as Mario Craver, Torian York at linebacker, Cassius Howe at defensive end. There's a lot of NFL talent on this Aggies team. And you look at Texas. Texas came into the season preseason #1. All of the hype around Arch Manning at quarterback. Now's an opportunity for him to come out here and pull off a big upset, which is going to be easier said than done. It's not just about Arch Manning. These wide receivers, Ryan Wingo and DeAndre Moore, what are they going to do? This Texas defense, there's talent there, but it starts up front with the likes of linebacker Anthony Hill and Colin Simmons. This is going to be an electric atmosphere tomorrow night, folks. But nonetheless, I like A&M to go on the road and take care of their business, 27-24. Now moving ahead to Saturday, which is another big day. Okay, it starts with the top-ranked team. You've got Ohio State traveling to Ann Arbor to take on 18th ranked Michigan. And okay, it's Ohio State and Michigan. Need I say any more? I know that the Buckeyes come into this game favored by 9.5 points, but when it's Ohio State, Michigan, it doesn't matter if it's Columbus, it doesn't matter if it's Ann Arbor. The bottom line is you simply throw the rule book out of the window and let these two rivals get it on. And of course, for Ohio State, they come into this game as the defending national champs, have not lost the game since last year's contest with Michigan. And of course, that game unfortunately was marred by the brawl between these two storied rivals at the end of that game. But nonetheless, Ohio State used that as fuel to their fire. And of course, they went on that run to win the national championship. And now the Buckeyes are looking to get their first win against Michigan since 2019. When you talk about Ohio State, I mean, this team is loaded in every aspect of the game. And I want to talk about this Buckeyes defense because it's the top ranked defense in the nation by far. No Ohio State opponent has scored more than 16 points on them all season long. Sonny Styles at linebacker. You got Caden Curry at defensive end. They can bring in, and they are the leaders of this unit, not to mention a guy like Caleb Downs in the secondary at safety. Julian Sand at quarterback for the Buckeyes has been smooth all season long. You've got running back Bo Jackson, and then, of course, the dynamic wide receivers, and I'm talking about Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith. So for Michigan, they're looking to upset the apple cart right here in regards to the college football playoff because guess what? If the Wolverines win this game, they're 8-1 in the Big Ten along with Ohio State. So, okay, a lot is on the line in this one. But for Michigan to go out there and pull it off, it's got to be a physical game. And we know what this Ohio State offense can do, but this is probably going to be a big chess match between the Ohio State offense and then, of course, Michigan's defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale. I guarantee you, Wink is going to cook up some stuff for young Mr. Sand at quarterback that he has not seen all season long. For Michigan, they've got to control the ground game. They've got to get their running game going with the likes of Jordan Marshall and then their defense with the likes of Ernest Hausman. I'll tell you like this. It's one of those where points are going to be at a premium in this one. It's going to be about field position. It's going to be about turnovers. And then once you get into scoring position, who is going to settle for field goals and who's going to be able to score touchdowns. The first team to 20 more than likely wins this game. I like Ohio State to go to Ann Arbor and get the 23-20 win. Now we've got fifth-ranked Texas Tech traveling to Morgantown to take on West Virginia. And of course, the Red Raiders come into this game favored big time by 23 and a half points. And it's simple for Texas Tech. They control their own destiny with this game to get to the Big 12 championship as well as the college football playoff. You look at the Red Raiders, they're loaded, and it starts offensively with quarterback Baron Morton. And then this Texas Tech defense, which has been balling out all season long. You look at their linebackers with Jacob Rodriguez, Ben Roberts, and David Bailey, and I think they are going to give or put in store a long afternoon for this West Virginia offense. I like Texas Tech going away 44-17. Now in the ACC, we've got 12th ranked Miami traveling to take on 22nd ranked Pitt. The Canes come into this contest favored by 6.5 points, but nonetheless, there is plenty on the line for these longtime rivals, which goes back to their days in the Big East, as Miami needs this game to help their chances of making the playoff. But Pitt needs this game to get to the ACC Championship game. You look at quarterback Carson Beck for Miami. These are the type of games that the Hurricanes got him from Georgia to go out there and help them win. Okay, this Miami defense led by Akeem Messador on this defensive line. Can they slow down and neutralize this Pitt offense? That's going to be big. Keep an eye out for wide receivers Kenny Johnson and Poppy Williams on the flip side for the Panthers, as well as running back Jakarian Turner and linebacker Rasheem Biles. The game time temperature at 35 does not favor this Miami team. This is one of those games right here where you would say take Miami, but it's one of those with the Canes. Sometimes, especially in these settings, it's tough to get a feel for me with Miami. I like Pitt at home, 27-24. Now in the MAC, we've got Toledo taking on Central Michigan. Toledo comes into this game favored by 10.5 points. Both of these teams got plenty to play for because they still have a shot to get to Detroit next weekend for the MAC championship game. I like Toledo quarterback Tucker Gleason as well as wide receiver Junior Vandeross and then safety Brandon Alls. If Central Michigan is going to pull off the upset in this one, it's going to come down to their defense with linebacker Jordan Kwiatkowski as well as Michael Heldman on that D-line. But nonetheless, I like the Rockets on the road, 27-20. Now, moving back to the Big 12, we've got UCF traveling to Provo to take on BYU. And it's pretty simple for BYU, as a win would send them to Arlington for the Big 12 championship game. You look at this BYU offense with L.J. Martin. And, of course, with L.J. Martin at running back, he really moves people around, okay? UCF is trying to play spoiler, and they're also looking to become bowl eligible. They're going to have to rely on their defense with the likes of linebacker Lewis Carter as well as Malachi Lawrence off the edge, but I don't see it being enough, and I like BYU to take care of the business at home, 37-17. Now in Conference USA, we've got Western Kentucky taking on Jacksonville State. There's plenty to play for in this game, okay, because the winner of this game gets to the championship game next Saturday, while the loser is going to be hopeful that Liberty can knock off Kennesaw State so they can get there as well. You've got Western Kentucky wide receiver Matthew Henry as well as linebacker Jalen Wester, two guys to keep an eye out for in this game. And then on the flip side for Jacksonville State, you got running back Cam Cook as well as linebacker Walker Osteen. Western Kentucky comes into this game favored by 2.5 points. I like the Hilltoppers on the road by a field goal, 30-27. Now, in the Big Ten, we've got 6th-ranked Oregon traveling to Seattle to take on Washington. The Ducks come into this contest favored by 6.5 points as they are looking to solidify their chances to get to the college football playoff. But, of course, it's not going to be easy in Seattle against a very good Washington team. You look at quarterback Dante Moore for the Ducks. What is he going to do against this Huskies defense? But then I like the play of linebacker Bryce Betcher for Oregon. Like I said, the Huskies have put together a solid season, and if they're going to go out there and pull off the upset, it starts with quarterback Damon Williams as well as wide receiver Denzel Boston. This is going to be a fun game, folks. Anybody who has an opportunity to sit down and watch this game, you're really going to enjoy it. I like Oregon, but they're going to have to work for it. 27-23. Now, back in the SEC, we've got LSU traveling to take on 8th-ranked Oklahoma in Norman. The Sooners come in favored by 10.5 points, and it's plain and simple. Win, and you're in the college football playoff. John Mateer at quarterback has been up and down this year for Oklahoma. I like Kip Lewis at at linebacker, excuse me. And go figure. LSU came into the season with championship aspirations, and now they're reduced to playing spoiler right here in their final game of the regular season. It's not going to be enough. I like the Sooners to take care of their business here, 30-20. Now, staying in the SEC, we've got 14th ranked Vanderbilt traveling to Knoxville to take on 19th ranked Tennessee. Vandy still has a slim chance to get to the college football playoff, but they have to beat their arch rival in the Volunteers, which is going to be easier said than done. When you think about Vanderbilt, it starts with quarterback Diego Pavia as well as tight end Eli Stowers. But this Tennessee offense was quarterback Joey Aguilar, running back Deshaun Bishop, as well as wide receiver Chris Brazell can put up points as well. The Volunteers come in favored by 2.5. I like them by 10. 37-27. Now, talking about Conference USA, I'm talking about Kennesaw State traveling to take on Liberty. And of course, a win here puts Kennesaw State in the conference championship game next weekend. It's not going to be easy going up against Liberty, but Kennesaw State, they're going to have to rely on the likes of linebacker Barron Hobson as well as Elijah Hill on that D-line and wide receiver Gabriel Benyard. Now, for Liberty, they're looking to end a 3-game losing streak, and it's not going to be easy going up against Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State is favored by 1.5 in this one. I like them by 10, 30-20. Now, you got Troy taking on Southern Miss. And the winner of this game is going on to the Sun Belt Championship game next weekend. The Golden Eagles come in favored by 6.5 points at home over the Trojans. And Southern Miss comes into this game on a 2-game losing streak, so they got to get it going. It's going to start with quarterback Braylon Braxton as well as wide receiver Elijah Metcalf. And then keep an eye out for the Southern Miss defense, which is led by linebacker Chris Jones, who has 119 tackles on the season, as well as linebacker Mike Montgomery. For Troy to go out there and get it done, they're going to need a big game from Donnie Smith and his ability to get to the quarterback, as well as linebacker Jordan Stringer. But it's not going to be enough, as I like Southern Miss at home, 33-23. Now, sticking in the Sun Belt, we've got James Madison traveling to take on Coastal Carolina to face the Chanticleers. And of course, for James Madison, they're already in the Sun Belt Championship game, but they still have their sights set on possibly getting to the college football playoff. You look at James Madison, quarterback Alonzo Bennett, as well as running back Wayne Knight and wide receiver Landon Ellis. The Chanticleers, they're looking to end their 2-game losing streak. And for them to do it, a guy like Zeke Campbell at defensive end is going to have to come up big and try to disrupt the timing of this James Madison offense. But nonetheless, it's not going to be enough. James Madison comes in favor by 21.5 points. I think Coastal Carolina keeps it closer, but nonetheless, I still like James Madison 34-20. Now, back in the ACC, we've got Virginia Tech traveling to take on 18th ranked Virginia. And the Cavaliers come into this game favored by 8.5 points, and it's plain and simple for Tony Elliott and company. Win, and you're going to the ACC Championship game for the second time in program history. Virginia has the better team, and it starts with quarterback Chandler Morris as well as defensive end Daniel Rickard. And for the Hokies, they're trying to play spoiler nonetheless and finish their season on a positive note. If they're going to pull off the upset on the road in Charlottesville, a guy like quarterback Kyron Drones is going to have to ball out, but it's not going to be enough, as I like Virginia to take care of their business 33-17. Now, back in the SEC, you've got Alabama, who's ranked 10th in the college football playoff rankings, traveling to take on Auburn in the latest edition of the Iron Bowl. And a lot on the line in this one, okay? Alabama definitely is trying to win and get to the college football playoff, but also a loss by A&M and a win over Auburn here could put Alabama in the SEC championship game next Saturday. You know what the Crimson Tide have on their offense this season with Ty Simpson at quarterback, and of course, wide receivers Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams, and then this defensive linebackers Justin Jefferson and Deontay Lawson. Now, the Tigers definitely want to play spoiler against Alabama. Make no mistake about it. If they're going to do it, a guy like running back Jeremiah Cobb is going to have a big game. This one right here, when it's the Iron Bowl, you throw the rule book out of the window. Auburn is going to leave it all out there. Auburn is going to give everything that they have. Bama's favored by 10.5 points, but they're going to have to work for it. I still like Alabama, though, 26-17. Now, we've got Charlotte taking on 24th ranked Tulane in the American. Of course, Tulane is favored big in this one by 30.5 points. But for the Green Wave, they're looking to get to the American Championship Game as well as keeping their playoff hopes alive. Highest ranked team for the group of five gets to the playoff, and currently right now, that is Tulane. I expect Green Wave quarterback Jake Retzlaff to have a big game in this one, while on the flip side for Charlotte, they are looking for their first conference win of the season. The Niners have only won one game so far. They're not going to get their second here, as I like Tulane to take care of their business 44-13. Now, back in the ACC, we've got 21st ranked SMU traveling to Berkeley to take on Cal. And for the Mustangs, they come in favor by 13.5. And they're still in the mix to get to Charlotte next weekend for the ACC Championship Game. Cal's defense is going to have their hands full with this SMU offense, with Kevin Jennings at quarterback as well as wide receiver Jordan Hudson. I want to see how inspired the Cal is going to be after they got blown out by Stanford last week. And of course, it cost head coach Justin Wilcox his job. Now, for Cal to get back on track, finish with a positive note, and pull off the upset, I think it starts with their defense, with the likes of linebacker Cade Uluave. But nonetheless, I think SMU takes care of their business in Berkeley, 37-20. And in the Mountain West, we've got UNLV traveling to take on Nevada. The Rebels come into this contest favored by 8.5 points, as they are still in the mix to get to the Mountain West Championship Game. You look at this UNLV offense, it's been poetry in motion with the likes of Anthony Calandria at a quarterback as well as running back Jaden Thomas. Nevada's trying to finish their season by winning their final three. And of course, this is an in-state rivalry that really flies under the radar, but nonetheless, it's still a big game. Dylan LaBarbera on that defensive line, can he find a way to disrupt that timing of that UNLV offense in this one? That's going to be big, but nonetheless, I like the Rebels to take care of their business going away 37-20. And finally, we've got ninth-ranked Notre Dame traveling to Palo Alto to take on Stanford. And of course, the Fighting Irish come into this game favored huge, 32.5 points. But nonetheless, there's plenty of bubble teams around the country who are going to be rooting for Stanford. Why? Because, of course, if Notre Dame loses this game, that's it. And it's one of those, we saw the Fighting Irish drop their first two, first to Miami and then to Texas A&M. But then they've been locked in. They've taken care of their business. They've won their last 9. And a win right here would all but put Notre Dame in the college football playoff. Quarterback C.J. Carr, he's no longer a freshman for the Fighting Irish. You look at running backs, Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. You got wide receiver Jordan Faison, as well as linebacker Drake Bowen. And then this Notre Dame defense has 20 interceptions so far. So we just saw Stanford pull off the big upset of Cal last weekend, and now they're going to try to finish their season on a positive note by doing it to Notre Dame and derailing their playoff hopes. I'll tell you like this, though. Marcus Freeman is going to have this team ready to play. I think Notre Dame heads out west, and they win big, 34-13. TFX, what's going on? Just switching gears real quick. You said, how about them Cowboys? Yeah, I'll tell you like this. I actually picked Dallas to win that game. It's one of those where, you know what, I talked about Dallas's offense in that game, and of course their wide receivers were C.D. Lamb and George Pickens, and that was a big time difference right there for them, as they were able to knock off the Chiefs and improve their playoff chances, and in the process, really put a lump of coal into the Chiefs' playoff chances on the AFC side. But nonetheless, folks, those are my picks. Those are my key games, rather, for this weekend in the world of college football. And I'm going to say this because there's a lot of people out there, or there are some people rather, who want to see the college football playoff expanded. I am not one of those people. It's nothing more than a money grab. And I felt like when it was at 4 teams, it really put the onus on all of the games. Here at 12 teams, it still puts the onus on these games. Why? Because there is so much to play for here in the final weekend in um, the regular season. And honestly, there is not a conference in college football that is not affected by this because everybody has something to play for. There is still a lot of teams that are alive from the power conferences as far as getting to the postseason, whether it's the SEC, the Big 12, the ACC, or the Big 10. Nothing is really etched in stone as far as who's going to get to the conference championship game. But nonetheless, everything is going to be settled on the field. And that is the way that it should be. Like I just finished, I said, a lot of people who are on the bubble are definitely going to be hoping that Notre Dame loses to Stanford. Highly unlikely. Okay, Miami needs to take care of their business against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh needs to take care of their business against Miami just to get to the ACC championship game. Then you've got an A&M who's undefeated, but they still are not guaranteed a trip to the SEC championship game, and then they've got to go on the road and take on arch rival Texas. And you're asking about the Ohio State Michigan game, TFX, right there. Listen, Ohio State's got a lot to play for in more ways than one. They haven't beaten the Wolverines since 2019. They've lost their last four. Of course, we all know how the way that game ended last year. And of course, if you're Ohio State, you're definitely happy that there's an expanded playoff now, because if there wasn't, your season would have ended last year, or your regular. Let me rephrase that. You would have gotten to a New Year's Six game, but there would have been no playoff for you. And the way that ended, I guarantee you that the folks from Columbus have not forgotten that. That's going to be a very intriguing game. Michigan has so much to play for in that game because Michigan still has a shot to get to the Big Ten championship game. SEC wise, like I said, we could have a scenario where if Texas beats Texas A&M, you got 4 teams, who are 7-1 within the SEC. You got a possibility of 3 of those teams being 11-1 going into like at the end of the regular season. There's so much to look forward to right there. There's a lot on the line with the Big 12. A team like Utah who's on the bubble, they got to try to avoid the upset in Kansas. Kansas is always one of those teams that you don't want to play late in the season, especially with the brand of football that they play. Mountain West wise, there's a lot on the line. You look at the American, okay, we're trying to get their picture together to see who's going to get to their conference championship game. A lot of people figure whoever wins the American represents the group of 5 in the college football playoff. James Madison has got a lot to play off. You look at Conference USA, it's so much on the line right now with Jacksonville State, Western Kentucky, and of course, Kennesaw State atop that league as well. So much to look forward to. And again, this is why I say, you know what, we don't need the playoff expanded because I think it just waters down these games. And the battle just to get to your respective conference championship games, of course, the power conferences, you win your league, you've got yourself an automatic bid. A team like Oklahoma, they're not going to the SEC championship game, but they've still got plenty to play for, and they've got to handle their business at home against LSU. And then, of course, the Lane Kiffin saga. Is it going to be LSU? Is it going to be Ole Miss? Or is it going to be Florida? And my thing is, I want to see how Ole Miss plays because I want to see how much of a distraction that everything with Lane Kiffin is going to put on this team. And I think at the end of the day, if you're Lane Kiffin, how do you tell kids to be all in and be dedicated if you possibly have a foot out the door? And Ole Miss is having one of the best seasons in program history. So there is so much intrigue. There's so much on the line with these teams. And I don't know about y'all, but I'm looking forward to these next couple of days in the world of college football. And as it's definitely going to help to shape the picture of the college football playoff. And the beautiful thing about it, some teams, their playoff hopes are going to go up in smoke tomorrow and Saturday. And there's teams that are going to have an opportunity to take care of their business next weekend in the conference championship games. And guess what? Everybody's not going to do it. That's the beauty of it. That's the intrigue. And I'll tell you right now, college football is one of the best things going. And I just hope that the powers that be, being the people that are in charge of the Big Ten and SEC, who are pulling the strings, they don't tinker with the sauce too much to ruin what has been a good thing. But folks, that's going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Like I said, I had a lot to talk about here. I'm going to have more to talk about with these games tomorrow and Saturday, because I'll tell you like this, there is plenty to talk about. For all you NFL buffs out there as well, I got stuff to talk about over the next couple of days as well. I got to talk about these Detroit Lions. I've got to talk about these Kansas City Chiefs with what we saw today against the Dallas Cowboys and their chances to get to the NFL playoffs as they're trying to make it 4 straight Super Bowls in a row. It ain't looking good right now for the folks in Kansas City, I'll tell you that much. So I've got a lot to talk about there, got a lot to talk about in the world of college football. So definitely stay tuned to this channel. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw on this podcast, you know what to do. Just please hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, check me out anytime at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I say, if you give me that follow, I'll do the same in return. And that also goes for Instagram. You can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports. Also, if you're on Facebook, check out the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports groups on social media. I hope everybody had a good turkey day. It's about that time in the evening where some of us are on our third plates, which is easier said than done. For all of those folks who are out there, feasting, you feasted on the food. There's plenty of good football to feast on this weekend, and I think we're just beginning to scratch the surface as it looks like the Bengals are really trying to pull off the upset and shatter the dreams of the Baltimore Ravens as we speak. So there's going to be something to talk about with that game as well. But nonetheless, fine folks, once again, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.